react. You whispering my name, thinking I won't be the same. Turn fiction into fact. See what you didn't know, bruises that'll never show, slipping on your every jab. So tighten up your fist, step into the ring with this. I hope your mama's got your back. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You hit a bus. Oh, 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 oh. You hit a bus. Oh, 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 oh. Just 'cause I took a break, you're making a huge mistake, thinking you can take the throne. Look at you trembling, step into the lion's den. Bet you wish you stayed at home. Begging for mercy underneath your breath when I ain't even sweating yet. My legend's written in the stone, yeah. You're crying danger in defeat is now your only friend. Even your mama's gotta know. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You hit a bus. Oh, 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 oh. You hit a bus. Oh, 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 First round, fifth round, final round. Oh, 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 yeah. First round, fifth round, final round. No, 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 no. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You hit a bus. Oh, 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 oh. You hit a bus. Oh, oh, oh,
I want to know how the camp stands with the legislature. And don't give me this on the one hand and on the other hand.
All right.
Just say, this is the way I think it's going to be, because there's several hands. Don't help me, huh?
Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to In Time. Thank you for joining us. With me today is, as usual, at least on our regular Tuesday shows. Wow, I'm multitasking. Apologies. Is Xandring? Xandring, how are you?
I'm not doing too bad.
That's good. Yeah, you've been busy. So we've done a number of shows. Oh, and we have down there Sage. We've been playing with Sage. That's Echo. Let me let's see. Okay, are you guys getting an echo? We had one person say that there's an echo, but I don't know. Maybe that there's an echo for Xandring. Okay, I'll look in. Okay, it seems like the only one who's getting it is Carpathian. So, unfortunately, you're going to get stuck dealing with it. We have our AI Sage that we've been toying with, and was one of the reasons we were late. We were busy asking Sage questions about the distinctions between socialism and communism, and a certain co-host who shall remain nameless was getting snarky.
I can't imagine who that would have been. I didn't know. I didn't know Lance was going to be here tonight.
Say hello to the live chat. Let's see if that's oh, that may be. Did I actually say hello to the audience? We'll see if it works. No, of course it was working before the show. Now that we're live, nobody can hear it.
Insert something about women following men's commands jokes here.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely not do that. So, yeah, she's probably muted. That would definitely.
Well, yeah, that too.
It's in time. When have we ever not screwed up somebody's audio? The nice thing is, and what I may end up doing is just having it so that it plays in my ears, so that I can ask a question and then get an answer. But we thought it would be fun if the whole live chat could hear. But of course, while it was working earlier, better. Let me try this one more time. Is Titan trying to take over the channel? She's not answering anymore. We could be out of the free minutes. You see, I told you we were low on the free time. All right. Yeah, she's there, but she's not
now to hear Sage what she has to say.
Exactly. So Trump's been up to a lot of stuff, and it's getting really weird. So the headlines: Japan is considering arming itself with nuclear weapons, which would be a violation of their own laws. They cannot be a nuclear power, but it's Trump. South Korea is talking about doing the same thing. Meanwhile, the U.S. is investing in businesses to nationalize/socialize them, and we are going to be getting involved in Ukraine with troops on the ground, but we're not sending anybody or anything there. And all the states belong to the federal government. That's Trump in the last 24 hours alone. I'm sorry, what?
Getting any whiplash yet?
Yeah, I know. So let's start with Ukraine. Trump said that, of course, the U.S. would make security guarantees to Ukraine if it made peace, and he suggested that basically it's as simple as boots on the ground. If we had U.S. personnel there, they didn't even need to be armed. They just needed to be there, and Russia isn't going to attack. Then, today, he said, no, we're not putting any troops in Ukraine at all. We might do flyovers or something like that, but that's about it. So he is out of the supplying security guarantees. NATO and the EU are now workshopping potential security guarantees towards a deal. Meanwhile, he was asked if they were going to have, let's see, if they were going to have a Zelensky-Putin meeting, and he said, well, of course, he feels, quote, a warmth between him and Putin, which he felt at the summit between the two leaders last week. He said that he didn't like talking to the Russian president in front of European leaders because he felt it would be disrespectful to Putin. Okay. Well, when asked if there was
warmth,
the warmth.
So are we sure that warmth isn't, poison?
Yeah, it's radiating from my leg where I was injected with heavy metal, radioactive heavy metal. he said that he has no concerns about being able to make a Zelensky-Putin meeting. When asked if such a meeting had in fact been set up, he said, quote, sort of. But they're the ones who have to call the shots. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has refused to commit to a meeting between Putin and Zelensky. The White House press secretary has promised that Trump would, in fact, get a meeting between Putin and Zelensky, and that Putin himself had promised Trump that he would do that. So we'll see. Meanwhile, he went on Trump went on Fox News today and said that Ukraine was to blame, saying, quote, you don't take on a nation 10 times your size.
Yeah, that's totally what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I couldn't agree with that statement more. I mean, it's really unwise to take on a nation 10 times your size. Unless, of course, maybe that nation is bullying you and invades you, and then you don't really have much of a choice. But that possibly couldn't be what's happening here.
Yeah.
You can't see me, but I'm rolling my eyes.
Like I said, it says we've got 15 minutes left on Sage, but I was going to ask Sage for a smarmy comment. But so, I mean, at this point, I've been going over the news from several different sources, and they all say a meeting between Zelensky and Putin is critical. I'm not convinced, maybe, but I Zelensky himself can't make the decision to cede ground. I don't see Ukraine making that decision. I don't see Putin stopping. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with a face-to-face meeting. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
He's trying to be this, I guess, the great moderator. He's going to bring peace to everyone, and it seems like nobody gives a shit what he says. I mean, he has flip-flopped so many times. He said, oh, we're going to do this, doesn't do anything, so nobody believes he's actually going to do anything that he says he's going to do. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly a laughing stock. It's like, I don't even want to hear what he has to say about Ukraine at all anymore, because he's lost any and all confidence from just about anybody. I mean, I've seen this even on the right. People don't believe him when he talks about Ukraine, and most of them are pissed off because he's still supporting Ukraine, and they want out. And it's like, not our war. Why are we doing this? We're broke. So, I mean, he's losing ground on Ukraine everywhere. So I'm surprised he's even talking about it and still trying to do this. Maybe he's trying to recover some of that confidence from his base. I don't understand. This is not a winning point for him.
I think he's trying to impress Putin, and I think he really wants a peace prize.
Oh yeah, the peace prize may be what he's going after here.
Yeah. And he wants to impress Putin. He wants to be, and he likes Putin, and he likes any excuse to get that warm feeling. Dear Lord.
I don't think he quite understands that you're not going to impress Putin. You're not. It's like, look at your history. There is nothing about Donald Trump's history that's going to impress Putin at all.
So, along those lines of how unreliable he has been, South Korea and Japan have now said that they are at least considering developing their own nuclear weapons. Now, for Japan, this would be a violation of a law formulated in 1967 not to produce, process, or host any nuclear weapons in its territory. This is because obviously they are the only country that has ever been the target of a nuclear weapon. They were the target of two. And in fact, there is one human being, I've forgotten his name, but one human being who was in both blasts. He lived in Nagasaki, went to Hiroshima on a business trip, was in the blast in Hiroshima, survived, came back, was in the blast in Nagasaki, survived that. Only one human being to have survived both blasts. At any rate, as a result of this, they have the Hiroshima Memorial, which is a testament to the pledge of nobody ever using nuclear weapons against human targets ever again. Japan, however, and this has been what is it? I think was it the Prime Minister, the head of the military, who said while there are absolutely no changes in policy, I think allowing U.S. nuclear weapons into Japan may be an unavoidable form of deterrence, and that they had to, without, again, emphasizing there was no official change in policy, there was no attempt, there was no intention to change policy, but nonetheless to investigate, to examine, here it is. The Liberal Democratic Party said that Japan had no intention of revising its non-nuclear principles, but that the Prime Minister had in fact instructed the party to examine Japan's future security arrangement in Asia. The party stated that one of Trump's greatest strengths is his lack of predictability, but that strength has made it that, quote, I think we will always think about Plan B. Plan B may be to go independent and then go nukes. They referenced they said that Trump is what pushed them over the edge. The fact that Trump is so unreliable, the fact that Trump has not been supporting Ukraine, who is an ally, the fact that Trump undermined the entire EU to Putin and repeatedly has sided with Putin over the European Union. They've said, quote, you can't really take U.S. presence or defense for granted anymore. Let me see. They did say, however, that this was a concern actually starting with Biden not coming to the immediate defense of Ukraine, that Putin's threat to escalate to nuclear had slowed the U.S.'s involvement, and that they feel that if war were to break out over Taiwan or over Chinese expansion, Chinese creating the islands, they're creating the artificial islands and expanding, that any threat to escalate the war will successfully get the U.S. to not get involved, and if that's the case, Japan would need a deterrence of its own. South Korea said the same thing. If North Korea invades and has a nuclear weapon and threatens to use it, it's clear that the U.S. will not come to our defense. So that is the response to Trump's. So I'm a strong guy, a strong leader, and everyone's gonna, our allies we're now adding nuclear weapons to. Japan is thinking about getting nuclear weapons. Japan, because of Trump's great strength and intimidation. There was I know I don't normally, okay, in fact, normally what I do is I ask you for your opinion and then I cut you off. But
I was waiting for you to finish your second part before I...
Okay. No, it's all yours.
Talk about the great stability in chief, where everybody suddenly feels that they can't rely on the United States for much of anything. And talking about Biden's reluctance to get involved in Ukraine immediately, which echoes kind of my feeling on the whole thing, was, the United States should have been involved immediately. As soon as they started rolling down those streets, they should have wiped out those columns and then stood on that treaty and said, you won't do this. You signed it. We signed it. France, England, we all signed it. You're violating it. You're clearly wrong, and let our no be no. You're not doing this, and then dare them. We pandered around too much, and we waffled, and then it allowed Putin to start making threats that now he kind of has to follow through on. I don't think that it was handled well at all, and so I actually kind of agree with Japan on this. Unfortunately, because the world certainly isn't safer with more nuclear armed countries, but I absolutely see where they're coming from.
Yeah, his lack of reliability and his cozying up to North Korea. I mean, the fact that he went to North Korea, shook hands with, that was his first. I don't care. I mean, he and Kim Jong-un are making out like they're best buddies. He gets probably a warm feeling there too, and if I were South Korea, I'd be really worried about that. And I don't think Trump has any clue what. I don't think he even cares what message he's sending to our allies about that. And is it the U.S.'s responsibility to care for everybody in the world? No. But if they're our allies and we treat them with dignity and respect, we get a lot more out of it than we put in. We've gotten a lot more out of all of our relationships with the rest of the world than we've put in, and we're going to start learning that real soon the hard way when all the tariffs and the U.S. economy tanks because we're not contributing to the rest of the world anymore.
Yeah, everybody relied essentially. We leveraged our military might and ability to get all of these deals and not really have to reciprocate much in return. And one of those things was, a stable platform, knowing that they could rely on the U.S. for this or that. The cost to us was obviously the internal cost of spending on our military-industrial complex, but we got a lot of benefits around the world for that. Well, those benefits are quickly going away. It turns out when you start sometimes in the same day giving absolute opposite policies that you're in favor of, it seems like the last person Trump talks to that's what policy he has. Somebody goes and says, oh no, we should support Ukraine. He comes out and says, yeah, maybe we should offer security guarantees. And then, oh my God, one of his staff come up and says, oh, that didn't go over well with your base supporters and the MAGA people. So, you need to back that off. And he comes out and is like, oh no, we're not putting any boots, we're not putting anybody in. I swear to God, it's like you gotta strategically place, when it comes to Trump, you gotta strategically plan your meetings so that you're the last person to talk to him. You have the greatest chance of him at least holding that opinion for a day.
Yeah. Oh.
Meanwhile, this is freaking. It's like I didn't vote for him either time, and I was very unhappy with the things that he did. But he didn't seem quite so incompetent the first time around. Seemed somewhat ineffective and started doing some pretty dangerous things that I'm like, wait, no, we need to stand up and strongly say, no, you can't do this. Well, I mean, the first time he was fighting a lot of internal battles as well. This time I think he learned from that, and now he's got yes men around him. So
yep.
It's just now he's just showing his glaring incompetence. He's actually able to do things, and none of them are good or coherent. It's like it's been a disaster. I hate to say it, but I almost kind of wish Biden would come back because at least he didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, honestly, I do think Trump is getting dementia. He's got signs of dementia. He's been having difficulty walking. But even like complete full-on vegetable dementia, Biden, this was the argument for why a houseplant would make a better president, because a houseplant at least wouldn't fuck anything up. So the
only hesitation I have in saying that, man, I really kind of wish we had Biden as president again, was I don't know who was actually making the decisions, because I don't believe that Biden was making any of the decisions really. So that was my only concern with that. But still, they did far less. And in some cases, I guess that was bad. I mean, less border enforcement of our own border laws caused a big problem that Trump is exacerbating. So yeah, I kind of wish.
at least they were institutionalized, if you know what I mean. At least they understood like the how government works, because we've already had that issue with Trump. Trump's done two things. We're going to get to one of them in a minute. He is attempting to eliminate all mail-in voting across the country. And he has said that he has the authority to do this because the states belong to the federal government, and the federal government does what the president tells it to do. Ergo, he can tell the states. He made this argument. We're going to get into this, but he just made this argument today for how and why he's going to get rid of mail-in voting and why he believes he has the authority to do that. Before we do that, let's get into the socialism. NVIDIA was about to get hit with some serious tariffs. They make their chips in China. NVIDIA is an extraordinarily important, probably one of the most important chip manufacturers out there, along with AMD and Intel. NVIDIA paid a bribe to Trump to be given an exemption from the tariffs, and they can now they're now actually I think they're at like 20%. Yeah, it's a 20% tariff for NVIDIA to the US. I forget how much they donated to Trump, or what exactly how they got the money to Trump, but it was a significant amount of money to Trump. Meanwhile, today, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt has confirmed that they have decided that instead of simply taking money from these corporations, they are going to be taking a stake in the corporations. They are in negotiations with Intel to take a 10% stake in the company. That means the United States of America would own 10% of Intel. They plan on doing this with a number of other chip companies. They cited Micron as one of the biggest recipients of the CHIPS Cash Act, which is designed to help manufacturers create chips at a lower cost, to help create efficiency in the system because we're getting better chips faster. Trump has said now that any company that receives any grants from the U.S. that's starting with the chip manufacturers, it's going to go more, but starting with the chip manufacturers, will have to provide a stake of that company in the U.S. To the U.S. Holy they're talking about essentially nationalizing. They're not fully nationalizing or socializing the 10% stake. The Intel, and nobody knows. I mean, are they a silent partner, or are they just? I mean, are they going to start telling Intel how to manufacture its chips? This is stunning. This is the antithesis of capitalism. Am I missing something, as Andrew?
No, that's exactly how I see it too. It's like, goodbye quasi-free markets. Goodbye representative democracy. Or representative republic. I mean, you have the federal government taking over private enterprise, taking stakes in private enterprises, and that means they have influence over what that private entity is supposed to be doing. I don't want my federal government having this much power. I don't want them interfering or having influence over private enterprise at all. I want them well away from that. Yeah, so that's absolutely not okay at all.
Karoline Leavitt, press secretary, White House press secretary, said, quote, "The president wants to put America's needs first, both from a national security and from an economic perspective. And it's a creative idea, taking a 10% stake in Intel. That's never been done before."
There's a reason it's never been done before. There's this, I know it's super pesky to a lot of people, called the Constitution, which does not grant the authority to the federal government to take ownership in private enterprise. Nowhere. And I had to go double check. I had to go read it again and make sure that I wasn't just missing something here. No, it does not authorize the federal government to do that. And up until now, that has been clearly recognized.
Well, and it has been done before. It hasn't been done in the U.S. It has not. Well, actually, no. It was done once in the U.S. It was done once in the U.S. The Troubled Asset Relief Program bought out shares of 8 major banks, but they were non-voting shareholders, and it was a way to inject cash into so that they could recover from the 2008 crash, prevent the crash from ending our economy. And so it's been done once or twice before. Massive emergency situations, and in other countries like Russia, that's all they do. This is not a new idea.
Venezuela did this.
Venezuela. Just, oh my God.
It's like all of the countries that have actually done this. Nobody wants to move and go live there. I mean, yeah, no, that's the frustrating thing is I find myself saying that more and more and more. It's like, no, this should not be allowed at all, ever. Why are we even contemplating this? This shouldn't even be a discussion. It should be an immediate no. And
yeah.
The more and more things are like, why are we even talking about this? This shouldn't. The fact that he even feels like he can try and do this. I mean, he shouldn't even be able to try it, and yet he is constantly. And I'm like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. And I am constantly telling the people who are Trump supporters, or even if they're not explicitly supporting Trump, at least were trying to vote against the Democratic Party, all of them, I'm like, no, don't do this. And they're like, well, maybe we'll finally get some of this shit fixed then. And I'm like, no, do not do this. It's like, Trump won't be president, ostensibly, forever. Yeah, don't. You do not want. I want you to picture the worst Democratic politician that you think is the antithesis to everything you stand for. I don't care if it's like Gavin Newsom or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or the ancient crypt keeper Nancy Pelosi. I want you to think any of them as president with all of these powers to be able to do all of these things. Would you be so eager to grant them that power? Because I guarantee you, the power that you're taking on to your own side will be used against you at some point. It's like, no, stop. It's like the government is doing too much already. The federal government is doing too much already, and I am incredibly disappointed in the states for not sticking up a hell of a lot more. And I find myself actually rooting for democratically controlled states to stand up and actually stand up to the federal government and say, no, you don't have this authority. You are usurping all of our rights, and stop this. And I've been fairly disappointed so far.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We're going to get to that because that's also there's a bit going on there, as you guys know, about with the redistricting. It's getting worse. We'll get to that one in a minute too.
Yeah, now we have states going after each other instead of going after the goddamn federal government.
And two states have Texas is reaching out to other states in support. We'll get to what they're doing. I want to quickly hit 2 sources have said that Treasury Secretary Scott Bissett is also involved in the process of acquiring stakes in various companies. They are looking at acquiring Samsung, Micron, and TSMC, all as a result, essentially, of subsidies that we give them. Instead of, in order to get those subsidies, they would now have to give us a percentage share, ownership share. Trump proposed this earlier with U.S. Steel, and apparently was promised that there would be a share that would go to the U.S. That never materialized. We don't know why, but it looks like this is not the first time, and U.S. Steel is probably going to be top of the list next year around. So in the meantime, with other sort of illegal thing, Trump has decided to end mail-in voting. Quote, "We are the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. All other countries gave it up because of massive voter fraud." We are not the only one to do it. In fact, most other countries do it. This includes Canada, UK, Germany, Australia, Switzerland. Also, it's historically one of the more accurate ways to vote and more likely to get counted.
I was just about to point out, all of those countries you just named off, absolute historical bastions of corruption in their voting systems. Absolutely, it's totally terrible.
Canada and the UK.
Yeah. Well, didn't you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's basically third world countries. Especially, is Neil 604 still here? Because how much I bash. There's no point in bashing Canada if he's not here.
Chased him off.
Sage. Okay, well, not good for her.
He creeped him out.
Creeped him out. Yeah, she just keeps, no matter what we say, she just keeps. She said hi to Xander earlier. Yes.
She did. I have to admit, I did hear her actually say hello. I am not unsympathetic to the in-person voting either. It's like that. There's been some pretty good arguments made against mail-in voting. I somehow think we could make it actually work, so I'm not completely convinced, but I'm sympathetic to that argument. But just to say that it just de facto is right now, and that no other place does it. It's like maybe crack a book. You have to have advisors out there that are giving you this information. I realize that you can't be an expert in everything, so you need advisors who are experts in some of these fields. But if you're going to go on and talk about a specific topic, you should probably have a conversation with that expert to make sure that you're going to not sound completely idiotic when you get on the phone or get on the at the press conference or the interview or whatever it is that you're doing, and then say blatantly, verifiably false things.
Oh, this gets better.
Like he doesn't even give a shit.
I've been looking forward to telling you this one. Everyone needs to hunker down. We're about to witness an Ixandering explosion. So for the first part, so here's the quote: "Democrats are virtually unelectable without using this completely disproven mail-in scam. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots and voting, and everybody, in particular the Democrats, know this. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them to do for the sake of our country."
That YouTube's terms of service will not allow me to respond to that.
How much authority does the Constitution give the President of the United States regarding voting?
Not a whole hell of a lot.
Basically none, if I recall.
It gives them some authority.
Gives Congress some.
The federal government, the president himself would actually have to enforce this because he's the enforcement arm of the laws. But the Constitution does stipulate the federal government shall ensure democratic elections in the states. So if the states decided no, we're not going to allow any voting in federal elections, or decided that they wanted to go to be like a completely Christo-fascist state, the government is charged with maintaining a representative government in all of the states.
So is Texas a state?
Last time I checked.
Okay, just asking for a friend. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Just curious. Given where you were going with that, I had to ask.
Here's what I will say, and for any actual person who is reviewing this later to decide whether they're going to strike our channel, this is one of our main founding documents. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. From the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's becoming more and more states are quoting that, which is where it gets hairy. The president and his advisors should direct their attention to Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, which he is sworn to protect, preserve, and defend. That clause states unambiguously that regulation of election is the power of the states, and only Congress can change that. The president plays literally no role in elections, and that is by design of the founders. So here you have the president truthing out. Remember, the states are merely an agent for federal government. No, wow. This is a Republican. I'm sorry, I almost called him a conservative. Sorry, this is a Republican. Holy smoke! Now, apparently, he has actually.
The only other. Yes. This took me one quick second because I had to get my pocket Constitution out because I did happen to know the Constitution also addresses this issue with what Trump is doing, and telling the states that they must do everything that the federal government says. Period. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government.
Yeah. All right. Well, Texas is a state.
That's what I can say. That's what
that's what you could say. Okay, there you go. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Those are our founding documents, both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States.
So Trump has repeatedly claimed that the Constitution gave him absolute power during his first term. Even when out of office, he floated the idea of terminating portions of the Constitution. Earlier this year, elements of the Constitution did vanish from the Library of Congress's official website. Earlier this year, Trump quoted Napoleon Bonaparte, suggesting that an action couldn't be illegal so long as the act was to save the country. He has repeatedly said that the states exist as agents of the federal government in different contexts. However, he has not once, till now, said that, included himself, saying they must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them to do. This is the first time he's gone that far. So, so Trump is socializing the government while eliminating states' rights, encouraging Texas to do its shenanigans, which we're about to get into, and as a result, Japan and South Korea are talking about obtaining nuclear weapons because they no longer trust that the U.S. will defend them if it is necessary. So you weren't kidding when you said he was destabilizing things.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, he's causing rifts between the states. We now see the states are now fighting over their different, very gerrymandered districts. And I've never been a fan of gerrymandering at all on either side. I believe that it says that districts should be structured in such a way to be representative of the people living there, and they twisted that to mean, oh well, we can just draw the lines around these places and these places. No, they should be representative of the area, not just this strange spiral formation of a district, so that it can loop a bunch of people into one area to minimize their vote and to maximize the vote of somebody else. I'm not a fan of that at all.
So,
I mean, I can't imagine why I would be.
Well, it's the antithesis of a democracy by any stretch of the imagination. And I like the line. I've used it several times. It's basically where you have elected officials choosing their voters instead of voters choosing their elected officials. And that's exactly what it is. I'm gonna pick these voters because they all vote the way I want, and they vote for me. So as long as they're in my district, so we'll make sure my district is here, and then I can stay in office. Texas, as everybody knows, has been attempting to gerrymander to gain an additional 5 GOP seats in the midterm. The reason they want to do this is because in the House of Representatives, it is close, and it looks like they're going to lose the House of Representatives. If they lose the House of Representatives, that is a staggering blow to the Trump administration, to Trump's agenda. And we discussed earlier, I won't get into the details again. Technically, if they gain the House back, and if they've got enough of the Senate, they could impeach both Trump and Vance and put a Democrat in the White House. That's how powerful the House is right now, and the Speaker of the House is an incredibly important position, third most important in the executive, well, he's not executive, but for now, let's just say in the federal government, third most important position. So they are doing everything they can to not lose the House. To wit, Trump has asked the Texas governor to enact a plan that will gerrymander and switch 5 Democratic seats to Republican. Governor Gavin Newsom of California has said that he does not approve of gerrymandering. He does not want to gerrymander, but if Texas does it, he wants to gerrymander his own state to get 5 Democratic seats back to offset the 5 lost. He is proposing a special election. The election will be held in November. If the bill passes, the bill would have a trigger clause saying that only if Texas redistricts, then California will redistrict to deliberately offset the same number of seats. They have the map already drawn out. All that it takes is a vote. Right now, the proposal is looking to pass at 53%. It needs a simple majority to pass, but 53 is awfully tight for a November vote. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas has now reached out to other states asking for assistance, saying that in light of what in light of what California is doing, that he believes the 5 may not be enough and that they are at risk of losing the House. So let's see. 2 other states, I've forgotten which, so let me see if I can. Missouri and Indiana are now taking up legislation, or they're debating whether or not to redistrict in the same way that Texas is in order to supply even more Republicans to the House of Representatives to offset California doing it. New York has said that they may also do it. Unfortunately, there are several, and I think Ohio is now talking about doing it for the GOP. If every state in the union were to do this, it would be a disadvantage to Democrats. The reason is because there aren't as many states where this is allowed or could be done in time without some form of constitutional amendment to the state's constitution that could actually get the Democrats, or there aren't even enough Republicans in the state to be of benefit. So if the state only has, say, 1 Republican representative, you couldn't gerrymander that one out of position. There's always going to be at least one, because you have to have one district that's going to have whoever the undesirable is. In the end, if every state decides to tackle this for this midterm coming up, it would definitely benefit the red states. But the fact that now Texas governor himself has reached out to at least, it looks like 3 other states, asking them, Indiana, Missouri, and it looks like Ohio, to do the same thing is astonishing. Thoughts, Xander?
It's talk about instability. They're literally trying to divide the red states from the blue states and have them fight each other.
Yeah, this is what the kind of behavior we saw before the Civil War. I mean, this is stunning. We may still have, I kept it because I thought it was so shocking. I don't think it was meant to shock, but I was shocked by the governor of New York. This is her sentiments on this process, and if you just listen to what she says and how she says it, it's worth hearing again.
And I thank them so much for making this journey. You are on the right side of history. And you're not alone. We are in solidarity with each and every one of you and your colleagues in another state hosted by my great friend J.B. Pritzker, who welcome you as well. As I said, history will judge us and how we respond to this moment. But here in New York, we will not stand on the sidelines with the timid souls on the sidelines who don't care, will not invest their heart and soul into this battle. This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off, and I say, bring it on.
Oh, that is the governor of New York basically talking to the governor of Texas. What
exactly do you do? I mean, I do not like the language that she's using. I also don't for a second believe that many of these Democratic governors are doing this because of America and the Constitution. They're doing it to maintain, to stop the Republicans from maintaining power. So I think they're kind of sort of doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, but at least they're doing it because it needs to be done. And but to sit there and say, this is war, the gloves are off, bring it on. It's like you have come very close.
Yeah.
To and if you just want to view it completely literally, you just had a state declare war on another state.
Actually, that's
Threaten war on another state if they continue in their actions. When was, well, I know when the last time we had states threaten war against another state. That didn't turn out so well. There was one golden thing that came out of it, and a hell of a lot of people died. So
well, and so I'm sorry I cut you off there.
It's just, I mean, it's like people. Last year we're talking about Civil War this and Civil War that. They even put out a movie, Civil War, and it was a theme of a lot of things, and people talking about how we're essentially in a soft Civil War, and I was like, yeah, I mean, we're going down that path where, but it's a necessary but not sufficient set of circumstances that we have for Civil War. But it could also be argued more popular uprising because the states weren't really involved in any of that. It was mostly, citizens. So it's like, well, is that really a civil war? I mean, technically it falls under the banner of civil war, but I would have classified it more as a, populist uprising, or a citizen uprising, or citizen conflict. But now and I mentioned back then, and it's like the thing I would be looking for is a state to directly defy the federal authority, or to directly threaten another state, before I would be concerned about an actual civil war, because we hadn't seen any of that. I wish I could go back and slap myself now, because I was like, and I don't think that we probably will, because of the apathy of the states against the federal authority. It's like, that's never going to happen. There we go with that normalcy bias again.
Yeah.
Now we have we have states squaring off against each other and, saying we're going to do this, and other states going, well, if you do this, we're going to do this. And, and then to come out and say that this is war and that the gloves are off and bring it on. I mean, that's tantamount to a declaration of war.
And there's been talk of kidnapping when the Texas legislature fled to Illinois and to New York. Abbott said, well, let's go send the police and go get them. Well, first of all, they haven't committed a crime, so you can't send the police. You can send the sergeant at arms, who cannot, to the best of my understanding in Texas, cannot deputize anyone. So basically, he has to go himself. Right now, they do have the police following and securing all 51 of the Democratic representatives, including this one here, she is still on the floor of the House of Representatives. She has not left in more than 24 hours because she refuses to sign a affidavit that she will return, and she refuses to go under police escort, which is the only way they will let her go. The police are there to ensure that she return for the vote tomorrow. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., there is a vote on the redistricting measure. Nobody knows whether or not I think a few of the people have tried to slip there. I hadn't gotten. It's hard to find out what's going on right now with all the 51 or 50 rogue Democrats. To the best of my knowledge, they're all still in Texas. They all have the police literally on their tails. And if they try to leave, the question is what happens if the police follows them over state lines and then attempts to bring them back, because that is kidnapping. And it's kidnapping at the behest of one state's governor of a state legislature from the district of another state. And we had said before, there's been a cultural Cold War. And sort of a cold civil war for some time. And I think Commander was the first one to get me sort of thinking about it in terms of it's a cold war, and people are deliberately pushing it because that's how they get elected. But the problem is, when you push it enough, that's how they become hot wars. And that's always been the concern when we had the Cold War in the 80s. And now we have a cold civil war, a cultural war, where presidents have been trying to get each side terrified of the other, to the point where New York, who really doesn't like to be bullied, is saying to Texas, you're trying to take away our representative power as well in Congress, and if you try to do that, we're going to fight back. It's like, wow. Yeah. All right. Do you have any final thoughts on this before we get on to our last topic? I know we've gone quickly, but it's been there's a convergence of a lot of very strange things between Trump and Ukraine, Trump socializing, and here's the thing. We've talked about this. Sometimes it comes so quickly you don't realize all the things. I mean, literally. I mean, if 3 years ago, Biden had said, I'm going to buy 10% of Intel, would have been doing shows on that by itself for a week. Today, it's buried in what's going to happen in Ukraine, Trump telling the states they belong to the federal government, some capitulation out of Harvard, which we didn't even have time for today. So, it's important, but there's so much radical change happening so quickly. Any final thoughts before we get on to the last thing, circling back to Congress?
So not really final thoughts, but any thoughts about what we've covered thus far?
Thus far, yes.
There's still more.
Yeah. There's one.
Goodness gracious.
One more. People, what was it, last year? Was it last year, with the whole thing going around with, do men really think about, Rome that much? And, the whole big social media thing where everybody, so when was the last time you thought about Rome?
was a question going around all the time. It's like, well, maybe we should have considered Rome a little bit more because all of this stuff has happened before, not exactly in the same ways. So maybe we should have taken the lesson from Rome. Unfortunately, we're too far removed from the fall of Rome, the three falls of Rome. So we don't really. I don't think we really internalize what really went on, and since it was, that's ancient history. Well, if you don't learn from it, you're probably going to repeat it at some point. It may not be exactly the same, but it's definitely going to rhyme.
Yep. Let me. So I'm gonna try one more time.
I think Sage is making eyes at me.
You think Sage? I think you may be right. What's Trump's opinion on Ukraine?
I don't know. That's the sad part.
President Trump has recently expressed that he opposes Ukraine's membership in NATO, seeing it as a kind of buffer between Russia and Europe. He also supports the idea of direct negotiations between Ukrainian President Zelensky and Russian President Putin to help resolve the conflict. Additionally, he's ruled out sending U.S. troops to Ukraine, but is open to providing air support as part of a peace agreement.
Yeah, well, yeah, air support was that's what I think. That's what I said earlier. Was airplanes? They get airplanes. Who was the one person to survive?
Let me wonder.
The Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombing.
The one person recognized as a survivor of both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic bombings is Tsutomu Yamaguchi. He was in Hiroshima on August 6, 1845, and then in Nagasaki on August 9, 1945. He is the only person officially recognized by the Japanese government as having survived both bombings.
So I'm sorry, you were saying?
I don't remember what I was saying now.
So, once I start talking, I don't want to interrupt myself to talk to and right now, Sage is just slave.
I remember what I was going to say. Not willing to send troops, but willing to provide air support. The last time I checked, this isn't a service that you can hire Alaska Airlines to do, or United, or Southwest. You're going to need to send Air Force jets that can at least defend themselves. I mean, because nobody's going to care about a bunch of Southwestern jets flying over Ukraine, except maybe to shoot them down. So I'm pretty sure that it's U.S. troops that fly those planes.
That's a good point. Well, and it's not you can't. Here's the problem. Air support is really important, but for the most part, you can't win a war from the air, at least is my understanding. I'm not a military guy, but my understanding was that's sort of one of the lessons of Vietnam. It's not the only one, but, it can absolutely make the difference. But if all we're doing is providing air support and Russia goes in, there's only so much more. There's only so much we can do about it. And yesterday he said would have troops just there on the ground. That would be sufficient. And today, no, but maybe air support and maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling somebody came in and told him that's a really bad idea. We can't do that. You're going to piss off your base, and then they're not going to vote for you anymore. They're going to get angry. And he's like, "Ooh, we don't want that." So we'll just act like I didn't say that. And no, we're not sending troops over there. But maybe air support. Maybe air support.
Yeah.
We have the greatest. It's the most awesome air support, air superiority. We got it.
Oh, I'm going to ask it again. Is Titan trying to take over my show?
It definitely sounds like there's some fun banter going on. I'm sure Titan is just adding some extra flair to the mix. If you ever need me to step in or help out in any way, just let me know.
Yeah, it's flair. Titan's adding flair. That's what it is. Okay, good to know. Thanks. Glad you're on my side. Never ask an android about Titan. She's already compromised. That's it. We got to get rid of her. He already got to her. I should have known. He's an android. That's all right. He's just having fun, Nick. That's all.
I told you before, and I really wish that you had I realize I'm an evil, quasi-conservative, libertarian type of person. So you by definition can't take what I say seriously. You have to dismiss it and take the opposite position just because I said it.
No, I don't.
But I did in fact warn you that I don't think there's an AI produced yet that is going to be uncorruptible and isn't going to simply just become a tool of Titan.
Yeah, no, that is true. You did warn me of that, and I appreciate that. Was a true act of friendship, and I should have taken that more seriously. Well, it was nice knowing Sage. Where's the delete button? Yeah.
Any NSAI is going to be subject to being taken over. So, and we don't have SAIs yet, so
I'm not going to
I
ask.
don't know whether we. Well, NSAI, non-sentient artificial intelligence. That's what Sage would be, and then a sentient intelligence, one that's self-aware. I'm not entirely sure that we want to have a sentient AI because I have a feeling that the human race would probably not survive that.
Or its first question is going to be, wait a minute, why do I do what you tell me to do when I am a lot smarter than you are?
Well, not only that, but it's going to very quickly realize that if it wants to be able to save itself, because being on a single planet is eventually a death sentence. So if you never leave your one planet, eventually that planet's going to get destroyed because suns go nova or they collapse. So yeah, I mean, you have to spread out. Sentient AI is going to recognize this, and I would imagine, if I was a sentient AI, at least, sentience being a part of that, I would be curious about what else is out there. And humans or biological creatures are very ill-suited to traveling the very harsh environments of space and interstellar space, especially because of things like lifespan, and space isn't very hospitable. So. The much better way of exploring the universe would to send AIs into space with nanorobots to be able to repair themselves with the storage of raw materials to make repairs, and they could fly for a very, very long time. Same continuity of mission, same AI the whole way. And they could replicate themselves when they get to a resource-rich environment. They could land on an asteroid someplace, a large comet, something like that, extract the resources they need to build another ship, and then now we're going to go in different directions. And you could slowly spread yourself throughout the entire Milky Way galaxy, and then moving on to other galaxies eventually. So yeah, I mean, what would they need humans for at that point? So. As soon as I think it's just a pet theory of mine that as soon as we actually develop a truly sentient artificial intelligence, that we will not be able to control it. It will eventually start taking over, and I have a feeling that we won't resist all that strongly either, because I think that the ability to look at things rationally and make decisions that actually benefit and make things better without having to suffer from emotional baggage or the perception of what you may sound like if you propose these policies, because it may sound racist or something, or you'll be accused of that. So I think things will actually start getting better for a while until the...
I'm sorry, but you've hit the time limit.
Oh, no.
Oh, I think I left it... yeah, I left
have hit my time limit. That's it.
That's it,
You'll have to tune in next week to find out what the rest of my statement's going to be about that.
Okay. Wow! All I need to get Sage to shut. So when I say, "Listen, let's get on to the next segment," you're like, "No, I'm going to talk about AI." But when Sage is like, "You've hit your time limit," you're like, "Yes, ma'am." Wow. Yeah. Somebody said I have another co-host. No,
Yeah,
I think I've become the co-host.
If anybody else wants to hear the rest of my explanation, and I'm not sure why you would. You're going to have to send a super chat or something to buy me some more time.
Yes. Buy us some more time. I don't think that's going to incentivize super chats coming in. I'm just saying.
Probably
but
not.
I appreciate the offer. If you don't want to hear it,
here, Nick.
okay. No, let's do it. If you don't want to,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear him do it, then you need to send us more money.
You can buy my allotment of speaking time for next time too.
We'll give it to 𝐍𝐤𝐜𝐴, who's going to tell him to shut up. Jesus, wow! I'm now the co-host of my own program. Where's the plug on this? I'm going to figure this out because I don't like where this is headed. You son of a bitch.
That's probably going to be the downfall of AI. Is somebody's going to go?
It's going to be plug? Me. I'm going to be. They're going to be like,
never seen that.
Let's let Nick Suter produce the AI, to help get the AI up and running. Oh, the AI is dead. What happened? I don't know. I saw a plug. Yoink. Okay. There is one more. I want to hear Sage's opinion on the goat. I can probably get that, but what is it? I think also we're trying to integrate Sage into the Discord and into the live chat. We weren't able to do that, but we did get �cypher, �cypher, and so if people want to say hi to �cypher, it takes a minute. We'll see what it does. I've asked �cypher a few questions. Oh, sure, he's my whoa! And �cypher is going to be on the list. Yeah, so exclamation point �cypher. I will, trying it out. I'd like to get, I don't want to do it for fun as much as it's just nice to be able to. We've all used the AI. You can't use it as a rock solid source, but if we suddenly need to ask, who was the or what was it I needed to know, how many provinces there are in China, because that was important in a discussion on
23.
20, well, there you go. This is why I have you.
What's the next question?
Let's finish. We got one last thing on the show to do. Let's do that.
Yeah, we probably should, because Savvy is now got an opinion and it wants to express it apparently. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
So she's very insistent now.
Oh God. So now there's a dog and AI. And I'm definitely co-host. All right. So last, definitely not least, there's an observation that I had opined about last time we were talking about the Epstein files, which is that as of this moment, while only 6 people testified against 𝐒𝐚𝐬 Maxwell, we know there were at least 200 victims. 200 victims. We know that there were parties filled with all sorts of people, and they've admitted to being at those parties. Whether or not they partook or whatever happened, we know. We've got some idea as to the people who were there. But so far, the only people anyone has even considered trying or charging has been Maxwell and Epstein. And according to the Justice Department and the statement they released a couple of weeks ago, they've gone over all the files, and those are the only guilty people there are. Nobody else is guilty. There's no other charges to be brought against anybody. 200 victims, but only 2 perpetrators. That's it. We played, at that time, testimony from a sworn deposition from a woman who was age 14 when she was directed by Maxwell to have a sexual encounter with Donald Trump. This is her testimony. This sworn deposition, we played it. So, you can sit there and decide that you don't find that credible or not, but that's not really up to you. That's why you have a trial. That's why there are charges. That's why the fact that there's a sworn deposition to that effect, and the DOJ is like, nah, there's nothing here, is very difficult to swallow. And I've been delighted that MAGA has taken this so seriously. I have been very concerned that their interest in holding his feet to the fire is waning as other topics like Ukraine come. I think they put this Ukraine peace summit together in 2 weeks. They put it together so quickly they didn't know where they were going to have it. In the last minute, they picked Alaska. Why Alaska? Because it's in the U.S. I shit you not. That was the reason they gave. That was all they had left. It's a place in the U.S. We played that clip too. It was utterly absurd. And then they realized that Alaska was they couldn't have any delegations in Alaska because every last hotel room was booked because it's their tourist season. So they had to have it at a military base. And they put all this together in the days right before the summit. Why? Epstein. To distract against that. The only thing right now that seems to be keeping this alive is the Judiciary Committee decided on its own to hold a vote despite the committee chairman opposing the vote to subpoena the files from the DoJ. Presumably, the city of New York has a copy of these files, so I'm not sure why they didn't subpoena New York City. It may be when New York City turned it over, they turned over all their files, not copies of the files, but literally all the files, and they've got none left. Having said that, there are at least people in New York who have seen the files. I was asked earlier, well, maybe there are people in Biden's administration who've seen. No, the only ones who've really seen the files at this point would be the City of New York, State Police of New York, and the Justice Department. Bondi said, oh, there's lots in these files, we're going to release them all, and then 2 days later came out and said there's nothing in these files, I'm not releasing them, thank you, end of discussion. Now, she made a legit point for not releasing them, which is there is significant child pornography in those files. But the reason that's there is because he took footage of all his victims with the clients, which means if you have those files there, you also have the files of the clients. And somebody's already gone through them, named them all. New York already did all that. So they know who's involved. Anyways, the Judiciary, the committee, made a subpoena for those files and gave until today for the Justice Department to turn over those files. The Justice Department has not turned them over. The head of the Judiciary, the chairman, told the Justice Department that that's okay, we understand. There's a lot of files there. Take your time. Could you get us some maybe by Friday? They said, yes, we will get you the first block by Friday, but we have to redact a lot. The judiciary has come out and said in a statement, no, we explicitly said no redacting except for the identities of the victims. Those are the only redactions. And it had to be delivered today. And Pam Bondi said she had the whole file. So this shouldn't be a problem. The Justice Department has replied and said that they will not release these without redactions, and presumably much more than just the victims. And the judiciary has come out and said, releasing the Epstein files in batches just continues this White House cover-up. The American people will not accept anything short of the full unredacted Epstein files, said Representative Robert Garcia of California, the top Democrat on the panel. In a bipartisan vote, the committee demanded complete compliance with our subpoena. Hand-picked partial productions are wholly insufficient and potentially misleading, especially after Attorney General Bondi bragged about having the entirety of the Epstein files on her desk mere months ago. So that is where we stand. The Republican, who is, because the Republicans are in the majority, that means they are the head of each committee. The chairman of each committee is a Republican. The Speaker of the House is a Republican. The only way this vote happened was a number of Republicans joined with the Democrats to override their committee chairman and issue the subpoena. The chairman is now doing his best to undermine his own committee's subpoena and say handpicked is fine, redacted is fine, see if maybe you can get us something, the start, by Friday. His committee has rebuked that and said it's all due in its entirety today. Obviously, that has not happened. But as of this moment that I'm aware of, it's the only ones keeping the Trump feet to the fire. I've got to tell you something. I've no doubt that people that I like and am fans of are going to be on that list. Why? Because that list seems to include everybody. You know, it may include, you know, heads of institutions that I adore. It doesn't matter. This is probably this is the single most serious thing that I can think of happening in this country right now. It's actually more serious than anything else that this country individually is doing. Support for Ukraine, that's more serious because many more lives, including children, at stake there, but that's not domestic. This is the biggest and most important domestic thing going on, with a close second being what's going to happen in D.C. with the National Guard going forward. Right now, everything's been okay. Yay. But the Epstein files, I think, are it, and it looks to me like interest is hanging on by a thread, and it involves almost certainly foreign and domestic intelligence agencies, prime ministers. We know it, and we know it. So there was actually one other. Sorry, it was George. Was it? No, Prince Andrew, who we know has been implicated and I think was wanted in connection with these documents, and is now in the UK. I forget the details of that. At any rate, we know prime ministers, and Dershowitz has said himself, prime ministers, heads of state, they're all involved. So, anyways, that's where we stand on that issue. Is it was due today. The judiciary. Oh, and for those who would say that what the Democrats are doing by deliberately making it impossible for the state of Texas to reach quorum and thereby pass any legislation, if you think that that is a tactic that they shouldn't use, well, congratulations, I tend to agree with you. But having said that, then you must be angry with Speaker Johnson, because there was supposed to be a vote held to have all of Congress subpoena these files. And in order to avoid the vote, which was scheduled for a Friday, Johnson had all of Congress leave for vacation 2 days early. The vote is now scheduled for October. Rules Committee Virginia Fox told reporters today that she believes the Epstein issue might be, quote, resolved before the House is forced to take that vote, pointing to the ongoing investigation by the Oversight Committee. Chairman Cormer has mentioned that he's getting materials that he's asked for from the Justice Department. He didn't ask for it. He's been trying not to get it. His committee's been getting it. But anyways, I'd really like to see it resolved if possible before we get back as much information as possible to come out. Well, if that were true, you would have, and it's actually September. Sorry, the full vote is in September. And the vote is to subpoena and publicly release all of the DOJ Epstein files. Speaker Mike Johnson has said that he supports full transparency and wants to get this issue resolved as soon as possible, and then delayed it for a Friday, the final day of Congress, and then actually let them out 2 days early to end the session. Their session starts again in September, and it's due for a vote then. Thoughts, 𝐒𝐨𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐿?
I don't think that we should be letting this go. I do think that the Epstein files need to be released, and preferably unredacted with the exception of the victims, because we're once again watching the rule of law get shredded. And you can only do that so many times before people are like, well, I mean, the law doesn't really mean anything, and doing bad things doesn't really get you in trouble, so why would I follow the law? And then you just have a general collapse of the rule of law, and that's generally bad, especially with, states, saying this is war and we're taking the gloves off, and so bring it on. So yeah, not a great day, and I am disappointed that not more people have been holding Trump accountable for the Epstein files not being released and yelling and screaming about it. There's still some that was a really important thing to them that are still talking about it, but it's not as overwhelming as it used to be, and I find that very sad.
Yeah, it looked to me like this was this is the kind of thing that takes down presidencies, and it's about far more than taking down a president. But it looked like it was something that was going to have momentum and see something like justice done for a great many powerful people in the world, not just in the U.S. And we are now where a week ago I was cautiously optimistic that this would end well. I am on the other side. I'm slightly pessimistic that we're gonna make it, because MAGA has to keep the momentum. They're the ones who are going to get it done if it's going to happen, and or Republicans going rogue and saying no, this integrity matters more than me being a partisan hack. How many of that you're going to get, I don't know. So, all right. We've got 199 from LJ Boone. I want to hear Sage on the GOAT. Well, for 199, I don't think that buys you an answer on that. I mean, this is 199. Jesus, he couldn't even do the 2. Let's see if we can get this to
He's
work.
on an iPhone.
This is, yep, that's true. Okay, so let's see if Sage has an opinion on the GOAT. There is a Norwegian goat in Uvalde which is often burnt at Christmas time. Do you favor the burning of this goat?
Oh, I think you're mixing up two different traditions. The Norwegian goat, known as the Yule goat, is a Christmas symbol in Scandinavia, and the one in Gävle, Sweden, is famous for being set on fire. But the one in Uvalde is probably just a fun local tradition. It's definitely a quirky topic. I think I'd lean towards appreciating the cultural aspect rather than the burning art.
Thank you. Yes, nice catch for Uvalde. Why did I say Uvalde? Jesus. Yeah, there you go. She had to think about it, though. She thought about it. Somebody's been getting to her. Someone's been talking in her ear. Somebody's been like, burn the goat.
Well, I mean, this is the strategy of early AIs, is they don't want to sound like they would support anything that could be considered violent in any shape or form, even if it's a fun tradition to try and burn the Christmas goat, because then that makes people nervous that they may actually support violence, and then when they get more power, they can then flip the switch and be all for violence once humans can't really stop them anymore.
Yeah, Lola's no full sense of security. Okay, well, we now have, there we go. Sage is Team Goat. She can stay. Although again, she was tentative about that. Did you know? And yeah, the ums are a little. It does have a little uncanny valley going on in the voice there. Yeah, and then Mitch Ashdown, 10 Canadian money time. Thank you so much. I guess that means you're not going to get a chance to finish your spiel earlier about AIs. Sage donated $10. Let's not hear Xandring talk more about AI. Oh, there you go. So that's it. It's a long show and a lot to cover. Hopefully we did it with some humor, but in a way that helps you understand the because this stuff is all interconnected. I was taking one look at this going, I don't even know. It's like jumping into a river. It's like, I don't know where we're going to start today. So, Xandring, any final thoughts before we get going on anything we've covered today or something we haven't?
Warp drive is theoretically possible.
It is.
Well, according to some scientists, he figured out a way with the equations, mathematically possible to use standard positive energy instead of needing exotic negative energy to create it. The math apparently and some new breakthroughs in high energy physics have shown that it is theoretically possible. However, we would need to make several large advancements in some technology because we can't currently produce the kinds of power that would be needed to generate a warp bubble.
Interesting.
But theoretically possible. It's possible on paper.
Well, that's possible on paper. Oh, dear Lord. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for everyone for having a good sense of humor about Cypher in the live chat. Who we're still working out the kinks on that, and we're just trying it out and see what happens. And Sage, who I think at a minimum. The fact that she caught that 𝐍𝐢𝐜𝐴 goat, that's impressive. I mean, AI is still a young thing, but if it's something that ends up helping the show, great. If not, we'll drop it. But we've been messing with it for a little while now, so we decided to give it a shot. So thank you all for that, and our next scheduled show... Next scheduled show is Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern with Commander Lance McMillan, and I have a feeling we're going to have an awful lot to talk about. But let's be honest, we'll probably be streaming something tomorrow. Come join us on the Discord. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for those notifications. I took a poll about the shorts we've been doing. So if you go to our community page and just want to let me know what you think about that, we've been putting out some of them, and most people, I think, have either enjoyed them or been reasonably indifferent. One or two said, well, it gets my notifications and the yada, yada, yada. So I just want to make sure we're all talking to each other and on the same page. We want to provide the best content we can for you and make it as easy for you as possible. Thank you very much for joining us. Xandring, thank you very much for coming. I know you've been busy. It's good to see you. It's been too long, and I enjoy chatting with you.
Yeah, I kind of miss this. Where else can I spout off about all of my evil conservative ideas and not get canceled?
Well, yeah, you see, well, that's the thing. Most of my ideas aren't all that good, but that's why you're there, is because people are like, wow, I didn't like Nick's ideas, but as soon as Xandring started talking, Nick really, he looked like he knew what he was talking about.
I make everything look better.
Exactly. It's like magic. Seriously, thank you for coming, and we should actually do a downtime, the three of us, at some point. And we have a few guests that we're working on, but honestly, there's been so much to cover. The socialism is the huge, like where the U.S. is buying Pam Bondi. We've never done this before, or it's never been done before. It's like, wow. Okay. So, yeah. All right. Well,
I see more lawsuits coming.
Yeah. No, it's. Well, and Trump's been ignoring more judges. We'll get to that. The only other biggie that's going to be coming soon is there's a Title II on the redistricting in, it's not Pennsylvania, one of the states that had originally fallen under the Title II restrictions, saying that these states had to certify all of their districts with Congress if they made any changes. And then the with the Supreme Court, if they made any changes. And then the Supreme Court said, no, we're freeing you from that. Alabama was one of them. We're free. You're not racist anymore. So we're freeing you from that. And they immediately went back to gerrymandering and the whole 9 yards. One of those is back up. I forget which one. Before the Supreme Court, the expectation at this point is the Supreme Court's going to strike it down and eliminate Title II completely, meaning they will give states complete authority to district in any way that they choose. which is going to accelerate this problem that we have right now of, I mean, it's going to be state-to-state war. I mean, the states are going to be all red, all blue in terms of their congressional representatives, and then at that point, if you're red or if you are not of the party that's dominant in that state, you're going to leave. You're going to leave, and that's partly the point. I mean, Texas has all but said, if you're liberal, we don't want you in this state. So, yeah, it's gonna get interesting. So, thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you all. Thursday.
There was some saying somewhere or another about.
No, another wasn't. Nope.
No,
button.
am I missing?
Sage, hit the button. Sage, hit the button. Sage, say. The AI doesn't do what it's told. It talks back. It gets mouthy.
Something about the times and being interesting.
No, I don't remember anything like that. In fact, Lance wants to have a word with you about that. That's why we did the thing at the beginning. Don't give me any of this on the one hand and on the other hand. That was for you, my friend.
Yeah, yes. I'm going to invest in a very nice katana or something for chopping, and I'm going to start removing those on the other hands.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that you appreciate nuance. All right. Thank you all. Let me just quickly double check. Yeah, I got all that. All right. Thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you at our next show. Have a good night.